Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Roger Report episode 2. So today we are going to be, as promised in the last episode, going over the BRICS system again. This time I'm going to be going over ways that the US dollar is being destroyed by the BRICS system. Now, the way I'm going to be presenting this is just to kind of clarify a couple things before we get into it. Number one is when it comes to how I present, right? I have made Word documents that are reports, right? So I've made reports when it comes to the research that I do. So I have like report number 1, report number 2, report number 3, and I basically make sections and then I put the sources and whatnot and all that stuff. But that's what I'm going to be reading off of, and I'm going to show you guys on the screen in just a second exactly what I'm looking at. Now, what I'm going to show you isn't my full report. It's just the section of the report that I'm pulling to put into a blank Word document to be able to, read to you guys and show you guys. Now, as far as the sources go, again, like I mentioned in the last episode, I'm going to put the sources in the description below. I'm going to put the sources for every claim that I make. So I'm going to go in the description. I'm going to type in copper purchase, because one of the points is copper exportation. So copper purchase, and then, proof for the link. And then, the rupee for India, this happened, link, proof, source. So I'm going to be doing that kind of format in the comments. I'm kind of experimenting with it still because I feel like it'd be a very, very long episode if I was just like, okay, let me, after each individual claim, let me go read the entire article for you and then explain and follow all the links and then do that for 20 claims. Like, I feel like that'd be super long. And like I said, I feel like I encourage you to do your own research. So I feel like it'd be better if I just did it and then just left you the claims with the sources and just said, okay, this is where I got it, have fun. And then later on, we're going to be doing live research and stuff that I plan on doing. So I may not be doing the description source, link, source, whatever for a while, but we'll see. So based on that, we're going to get into proof that BRICS is destroying the US dollar. Again, this is part of a report that I did make, and I'm going to be sectionizing off my reports and giving them to you in sections per episode. And then once we're fully caught up to where I am, then what we're going to do is we're going to actually just start covering topics as they come out. So I want to try to get you guys up to speed on what I know and, what's been going on as recently as a few months ago into the late 2023 up until this point, and then we can kind of explore together as stuff makes itself known. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. So, as we can see, it's just a blank Word document, but proof that BRICS is destroying the US dollar. Again, this is part of a bigger report. Now, as you can see, I have, it looks small relatively because, I did zoom in a lot, but basically it's kind of just letting you guys have a brief section of stuff, and then, again, I'm going to post the links below. So, the first example that BRICS is destroying the US dollar. Again, this is going to be just in sections. I'm going to basically explain what it means. So China and Zambia's copper trade. So Zambia is the second largest exporter of copper in the world, while China is the biggest consumer of copper in the world. So roughly $2 billion a year in trade between the two countries and copper happens. I think it's about 1.64 billion in raw copper and 340 million or 346 million in refined copper is traded between them. Now, before, China was accepting the US dollar as far as, purchasing, and that was trade, that was, accepted because the US is embedded in a lot of local trade on that side of the world. But China finally said, you know what, we're done accepting the US dollar, we're done using it as a currency of purchase because we're only going to give you the yuan now. That's what we're going to be doing, the Chinese yuan. I think it's also called the renminbi. We're going to basically only give you that. So that's one example that they have eliminated the US dollar in its position in a certain trading area in the world. Now, what am I saying? So I'm not sitting here and I'm not going to say to you at this moment in time that the US dollar is kaput, like it's completely gone, because it's not. If you look up and do your own research, you will see that the US dollar is still largely dominant in the global economy. So you're going to see a trend here. It's slow, but it's surely happening, and it's happening at a quicker rate. So all of these examples I'm about to give you, including the first one that I just gave, is going to be all of these countries having a mindset shift of saying, okay, now we're going to move away from the US dollar. Now we're not going to be a part of it anymore because we want to make our own currency. We want to make our own system. And a little story I'll give. Once I get done with all these, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of history. Maybe you didn't know, maybe you did. But basically what's going to happen is I'm going to finish this and then we'll get to it. So India, second example is India attempted to convince 20 countries to accept the Indian rupee and ditch the US dollar. Now, this effort did not work because those countries refused. They said no because the rupee was too weak against the US dollar. As I said, right now the US dollar is still strong, but there's many attempts to discredit it and throw it to the wayside, which in this case, as you can see, but this boosted the need for a stronger BRICS currency. So it encouraged them to say, okay, well, if the rupee is not going to be enough, we have to have a national BRICS currency. So they want a one world BRICS currency that is called the BRICS currency that they use. It's going to be digital. It's going to be a CBDC is what they're going to try to use. So that is basically their attempt at discrediting the US dollar on that whole side of the world. Now, India, China, Russia, the UAE, who, by the way, recently just joined, and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a weird one. Before I finish the rest of this, Saudi Arabia is a weird one because they are actually still considering BRICS. It was reported that they had joined, and then apparently they said, no, we're not fully joined yet. We're thinking about it. And then they're still thinking about it as of yesterday or the day before. They're still considering it. I don't know what they're considering. I don't know if they're going to kind of play possum. I don't know what they're doing, but they were reported to have joined, and then they said, no, we didn't. We're still thinking about it, so that's kind of a weird one, but nonetheless, they're still doing this. So they've already started using local currencies for international trade settlements, while China and Russia are attempting to convince other countries to drop the US dollar. Again, all this stuff is going to have kind of the same theme. It's going to be, they have, the US dollar involved, then they're cutting that. They're encouraging local currency. This whole section is going to be local currency related. Because think about it, the more subsections of the world that cut off the US dollar, the weaker the dollar gets, the less impact the dollar has, the less power we have on economic sanctions when it comes to having our toes dipped in, all this different oil and natural gas trade and copper trade like in Zambia. This stuff is not going to be, it's not going to be pretty once this all comes into mass effect. And like I said, it had a slow start, but now it seems like almost every day another country's cutting off the US. And so we'll see how it plays out. But here we have, this was in November or December of 2023. This is a few months ago, but still relatively recent. Chinese state-run banks offloaded the U.S. dollars and spot foreign exchange markets or forex markets for 3 consecutive days back in November or December of 2023. Once they sell off USD in markets aggressively, the immediate buy of their own currency initiates. So in other words, they basically, the Chinese state-owned banks had a bunch of U.S. dollars, and then they said, okay, we're going to sell, and then immediately turn back and buy their own currency. What they're attempting to do is to grow the strength of their own currency leveraged against the U.S. dollar. That's a very short-term position. China even admitted that that's not a good long-term goal, but they were trying to do that to get a little bit of quick gain on them in the short run. So are they still doing that? I'm not sure. That it hasn't been any reports that they're still doing that, but they did do that way back when, a couple months ago. Next, we have, and by the way, you're going to see China as a huge theme in this. China and Saudi Arabia put their local currencies first over USD and trade exchanges up to $7 billion. This is very, very interesting because at that point, what you're looking at is this. Any agreement in trade, whether it be oil, natural gas, whatever the case may be, any trade agreement that they have between Saudi Arabia and China is going to be in their own local currencies. I believe the number is up to 50 billion won, Chinese won. I don't know what the Saudi Arabian dollar is called. I also don't know the exact number. I'd have to look at it. You can find it in the sources linked below. But I don't know the exact number of Saudi Arabian dollars or whatever, but it's roughly $7 billion USD. And what this is any trade agreement or trade settlement that happens between the two countries, if it's below $7 billion in value, the US dollar is involved none. So basically, the US dollar is cut out up until that $7 billion mark. And so when $7 billion and $1 happens, hypothetically, that's when the US dollar starts to get some play again. But $7 billion is no small number. And so at that point, there's going to be quite a bit of exclusion of the US dollar for a lot of the trade that goes on. Maybe not 100%, but a very decent amount. Next, we have the UAE looking to settle oil payments in local currencies, sidelining the US dollar. They're looking to renew oil and gas agreements with over 15 countries that are willing to pay only local currency for oil. These countries include China, Russia, India, and Egypt. Recently, India also sold over 1 million barrels of oil for rupees in September of 2023. So again, this is just another example of the UAE looking to renew their oil and gas agreements with other countries, 15 other ones, mind you, and they're only going to accept local currency. They're no longer accepting USD. And again, as you can see at the bottom there, just in this year, and this is 2024 speaking about at this point, the Chinese yuan has overtaken the US dollar as the top traded currency in Russia. Which is big. That's big. Now, all of the things that I just explained for you, the majority of these sources are going to be coming from watcher.guru, watcher.guru, what I explained in the last one. Of course, again, they have hot links that they embed the site, from the World Gold Council, or whatever organization tracks trade between countries. But like I said, watcher.guru is a leading organization that they actually tend to go to press releases of countries that are within the BRICS system and within the Eastern Bloc, and they get information direct from them. And if not, they get them from the state or nation-run media websites from those countries. So this is all according to watcherguru.com. Now, the Belt and Road Initiative. This is from, and I'm going to link it. In fact, let me pull up really fast. I forget the name of this. Organization that I actually got it from. EBRD of what the Belt and Road Initiative is. Now, the EBRD, I believe, is like the European. I forget. I'm not going to. Okay, here we go. European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Their website is where I got this from. Again, I'll link it down below. But according to the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, the Belt and Road Initiative is another. By the way, the Belt and Road Initiative is another part of a mass de-dollarization effort. So when it comes to the Belt and Road Initiative, this basically is trying to connect Asia, Europe, and Africa all within physical means and within network means. So the BRICS system is trying to get away from U.S. technologies and capabilities when it comes to the internet. They're wanting to establish their own networks, hence why you see maritime networks here. Now, when it comes to the Belt and Road Initiative, they're trying to connect Africa, Asia, and Europe. I think I said Asia, Europe, and Asia, but I meant Asia, Europe, and Africa, if you see right here. I mistyped. But anyway, so Asia, Europe, and Africa, and that's going to be by railroad. They want to connect it by high-speed trains for physical trade and transportation, as well as they want to go ahead and they want to have some maritime networks. Now, what maritime networks are they establish wireless multi-hub networks, provide broadband service at sea, connecting various kinds of ships, maritime buoys, and beacons. They are satellite-enabled as an alternative to American internet technology. Now, when it comes to the Belt and Road Initiative, this is very, very dangerous, and I'll explain why, as you can maybe see why is this dangerous, right here. The reason why it is dangerous is because the way China has leveraged this. So you may think, well, what's so bad about them connecting, the continents over there? What's so bad about them, establishing trade with each other? Well, keep in mind, this trade is going to be in local currency, and here's the proof for that. So why is this dangerous? The Belt and Road Initiative is dangerous because China, through this initiative, has lent out money to over, 155 countries for infrastructure development, essentially creating an IOU back to the lender, which is China. Now, China stated that they will not accept the US dollar or any other currency for repayment of the loan except the Chinese yuan. Now, China in late 2023, and I think maybe even late 2022, but mostly in 2023, has been experiencing with their own CBDC. Again, central bank digital currency. This is a one nation currency that's digital, that is controlled by the central banks of China. Now, they are experimenting with that. I don't know when it's supposed to go full scale or if it already has. I do know, though, that China, in their M0 money supply, if you're not familiar with what that is in economics, M0 money supply is basically just money that is the most liquid that you can get. It's basically the money actively in circulation in the economy, as well as the money that is in the reserves for the central banks. So this is going to be your very, very, very liquid assets. Now, M1, I believe, money supply, I believe that's dipping into the consumer money that is, held up in, more regional banks or state banks or whatever the case may be, not necessarily the Fed. So M0 money supply in the most liquid form, again, is actually, I believe, has become the CBDC and CBDC currency for China at the moment. Like I said, I'm not 100% certain if they're fully rolling it out yet, or if they have. I'd have to do some research on that. But once they fully established it, though, they are only going to be accepting that for the payment back. So at that point, they're basically leveraging all these other countries, all these other smaller countries, saying, hey, we lent out this money to you. You're going to pay us back in the digital yuan, it's going to be called the digital yuan. You're not going to pay us back in USD or any other currency. So that is a massive, massive, massive hit to the US dollar, and that is a massive boost to the Chinese yuan, or the digital yuan at that point. Basically, it's going to inevitably propel the dollar, propel the yuan above the dollar in global trade prominence and power. And basically, that is all that I have for just a brief overview to keep you guys up to speed on what is happening. Is this all the examples of what they've done? No, there's many, 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 many more that I will go over in some, upcoming videos. But for now, I just wanted to show you guys that. Again, I'm going to link every single thing that I said, claim, source, in the description below. Again, I very much encourage you guys to do your own research on this. I am just coming to you with what I know. I'm coming to you with what I have researched, and I want you guys to take that, go further with it. Do you guys, what are your opinions? Put it in the comments. What are your opinions on the BRICS system? And by the way, I do want to say this as well. I don't know if I mentioned it in this video or last video. I'm pretty sure I did not. But the BRICS system is going to be backed by gold and precious metals. That is what's so dangerous about this BRICS system. When I say dangerous, it's detrimental to the US dollar, because this is going to be backed by a hard currency, by hard assets in their currency. They're trying to tie their currency to gold denominations. In other words, I believe the price of an ounce of gold right now is like $2,030 or $2,050. It's 2,000 and something, and basically you can't make a single dollar worth $2,000 in gold. Like that, you can't do that. But what you can do is you can make stuff in denominations, which basically means that this fraction of gold is worth this dollar, or this dollar, vice versa, is worth this fraction value of gold, but it's denominated in it, so it's tied to the value of that gold. So basically, you prevent inflation, because you have a hard asset that's backing your currency. You can't print money or make money more than what the hard asset is in its total value, because if you do, then that means that any money you objectively print above that value just becomes zero, and then everything else remains the same. I'll go into that further in depth later on. But regardless, yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed. And again, do your own research. What do you think about the BRICS system? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.